Hey guys, it's me Gabby from Prabookaholic, and today I will be doing a book haul. Since my last book haul, which was in the beginning of August, I have accumulated quite a huge amount of books. They're about 30ish books. And yeah, I have bought some of them in August, some of them in September, and most of them in October. I will show them to you each and every one of them. I'll give you a brief summary, but I won't dive into too much detail because I want to keep this video in like 10-12 minutes, something like that. At least that's my goal. So without further ado, let's get started and see what kind of books I bought this month or these last 3 months. The first one is Nevernight by Jay Kristoff. Jay Kristoff is also the co-writer of Illumina, which is a very interesting book about space. I have a review on it. If you want, you can go ahead and check it out. But this book is very, very different from space travel and, spaceships and different planets. It's about a world where we have night all day long. Like, there is no sun or our main protagonist joins an assassin school in order to revenge the pain and suffering that has been done to her family and to her. It sounds like a very interesting story. So the second book I bought is Alienated. I bought this one and the next two books in the middle of September. I bought them from Paris. And yeah, this book is about aliens, and from what I know, we have I think a guy who is an alien and a girl who is human, at least I think so. And of course, they're going to be star-crossed lovers, they're going to fall in love, and so on and so forth. This plot on itself doesn't sound that interesting, but I've read other books like this, like the Look series, and even though the plot is not the most original one, it's still very interesting to read, and I really am kind of addicted to this kind of books. The third book I have to show you is A Torch Against the Night by Sabaa Tahir. I have already read and reviewed this book, and I'll post down below. I love this book, which is the second installment to An Ember in the Ashes. This book is kind of set in ancient Rome, where we have two societies, one is oppressing the other, and we have two main protagonists who both are from the opposite scale of society. It's really, really interesting. I can talk about it all day long, and I do recommend it. So the fourth book I have to show you is The Beauty of Darkness by Mary E. Pearson. This is the third and last book to the Remnant Chronicles, the first one being Kiss of Deception and the second one being The Heart of Betrayal. Both of the books that I just mentioned, I gave 5 out of 5 stars, and I'm really excited to see how this novel is going to wrap up. I hope there are a lot of good things that is going to happen, because the main characters of this book have been through so much. I just want them to have their happily ever after. I have The Other Queen by Philippa Georgi. Philippa Georgi is one of the most famous historical writers, at least that I know of. She has a series of 13 books that follow English history. This book is about Queen Mary of Scots and Queen Elizabeth, her cousin of England. I know exactly what happens and how the story ends, but I've heard it that Philippa Georgi's books are told in a way that just like change your perspective and give you details that you would not otherwise know. So these were all the books that I bought in August or September, and now I'll show you all the books that I purchased in October, and to be more precise, the books that I purchased 2 days ago. Literally, in one day, I went to 2 bookstores. I spent like 2 hours altogether there, and I had 24 books. Yeah. So with that having said, let's dive into the books. So I have divided the books kind of by genre, so it would be easier. These 3 books here are kind of dystopian, futuristic, or at least what I know of them. For some of them, I know like bits and pieces, so please don't judge me if I misplace them. But the first one is Specials by Scott Westerfeld. This is the third book to Uglies and Pretties. I think that the whole series is called Uglies. The first book is about the society that thinks it can fix all the problems. It can fix how people look so that they're all pretty. It can fix how people feel so that there is no war and hunger. It's really interesting to see how even in the perfect society there are always problems and always flaws and always those who want to be free. Next up, I have Reboot by Amy Tintera. This is a very interesting novel. The premise of it basically revolves around the fact that when you die, you kind of are brought back to life, and the longer you are out, the less human you become next time. For example, if you're out for 10 minutes, the change will not be that different. But our main protagonist has been out for almost 3 hours, which apparently is kind of a record, and she is barely human. And of course, the guy that she kind of likes is the most human of them all. This book basically follows. So the 8th book that I bought is Pawn by Amy Carter. This book is set in Washington after America is no longer a democracy, and basically the government gives you a number when you're born, and that is kind of your caste number. And our main protagonist, is a 3, which is pretty low in the society, and then one day she gets the chance to choose if she wants to become a 7, which I think is kind of the highest. But if she chooses to be a 7, she will have to pretend to be the prime minister, I think, the prime minister's niece, who died in a very mysterious way. But also she'll have to suffer the consequences of losing her life, figuring out the secrets of that society. These books are contemporary novels, and there are quite a lot of them. I have never bought so many contemporary novels at once. I'm not sure what exactly is wrong with me, but to prove to you that they are all really good, the first 2 are The Unexpected Everything and Since You've Been Gone by Morgan Matson. The first one, which I think is the older one, is about 2 best friends. They're about 13, 14, and one of them disappears and leaves behind a bucket list. The one that finds the bucket list is kind of determined to do all of the stuff in order to get her friend back. It kind of sounds like Paper Towns. I hope it's nothing like that. We'll see. The next one is The Unexpected Everything. I'm not exactly sure what this is about. I know it's about a girl who has plans for the future, but it doesn't really work out as she has hoped, and then she is kind of forced to take care of a lot of dogs, which is not a bad thing. I mean, that's the perfect job ever. The 11th book I have is The Problem with Forever by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is a contemporary novel following a girl that spent a lot of her time in the foster system. Now that she has been adopted, she has decided that her senior year she will go for the first time in a normal high school. Next up, I have Holding Up the Universe. This is by Jennifer Niven, who also wrote All the Bright Places, which is a really nice novel. This one as well deals with, I think, depression and about eating away your feelings, about not being able to say what you feel. I'm not exactly sure, but I know it's going to be very dark, but also very endearing. Tiny Pretty Things by Sona Karap. I can't read this. I'm sorry. There is no way I can pronounce this. So this book is basically Gossip Girl combined with ballet school. It sounds like a really interesting story about intrigue and friendship and loyalty. The next book, which I'm thinking is about 15, I kind of lost track, is Something in Between by Melissa de la Cruz. This book is about a girl that kind of, her life is turning around. She gets accepted into college, but then she figures out that her parents are actually illegal immigrants, and it's about her kind of accepting that fact or not accepting it. I don't know what exactly is going to happen, but the idea of this book is really interesting, especially it's even important in this time when there are a lot of people who are struggling with this. So I would really like to see what our main protagonist does with that and how she deals with that revelation. So the last contemporary book is Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. This book is actually, I think, the book that I own with most awards. I have actually no idea what it's about. I know it's about 2 best friends. One of them is kind of socially awkward, the other one is really popular, but they either fall in love or become best friends. I think they fall in love. So the next 5 books that I have to show you are either urban fantasy, or I'm not exactly sure which genre they belong to. The first one is Stealing Snow by Daniel Page. This book is a retelling of a fairy tale. I can't remember which fairy tale exactly. It is not Snow White. I'm sure of that. It's about this girl called Snow who is in a mental hospital and has like visions and dreams, and then one day a person comes and like gets her, and she goes to another world where there is magic and stuff like that. Next up, I have Vicious by V. Schwab. Again, this is a author whose books I still have not read, and I feel horrible about it. I honestly don't know much about this one particularly. I know it's really, really famous and deals with people trying to find supernatural creatures in our world. I don't know anything else besides that. Next up, I have The Unbecoming of Maya Dyer, which again is one of really, really famous YA book. I don't know much about it except for the fact that the main character is struggling to distinguish reality from her dreams, and I think she's in a mental hospital, but I am not sure. I have A Thousand Nights by E.K. Johnson or something like that. So this is a retelling of 1001 Night. It sounds really interesting about a girl that wants to figure out what is happening to all of the Sultan's wives. I don't know much about it except for that. Next up, I have Splintered by A.J. Howarth, which is, I think, an urban fantasy, and basically this follows our main protagonist, Alisa, and her great grandmother was Alice in Wonderland, and this protagonist, she's able to communicate with flowers, like plants and animals. She's trying to conceal her gift because she thinks it is madness. I hope she goes to Wonderland or like to a special world. The next 6 books are either high fantasy or have a lot of magic in them. The first one is Clariel, and when I was trying to review this book, I kind of read the synopsis and I figured out this is not the first book in the series. Actually, the first book is Sabriel and this is Clariel. I mean, it's kind of confusing. So no, this is the 4th book, and I haven't read the first or the second or the third one. So yeah, I don't know anything about it. Next book is The Mark Girl. This is a dual point of view where we have a prince who escapes from his magical world and comes to our world in LA, and we have a girl who I think knows about this portal, this kind of jumping between worlds. I'm not sure where exactly she is from, but it's going to be about their interaction and him, the prince, trying to figure out how to live in our society. The next book I bought is Witch Hunter by Virginia Belker. This is about a witch hunter who is actually accused of witchcraft, and she is forced to choose between escaping with witches or being killed in a prison because they think she's a witch. So this book is The Sin's Earth's Daughter by Melinda Salisbury or something like that. This is about a girl that kills with her touch, and she's forced to marry this prince in order to be his queen and to be able to punish all of the people who are kind of going against him, or at least she thinks that that's her purpose because there are some gods that are like telling her what to do. Finnegan of the Rock, which I've heard is one of the best high fantasy YA books. I have actually no idea what's about. I know it's about kingdoms and like kings, and I think most of the royal family has been killed, and yeah, it has magic, and I don't really need anything else. The 6th and last book of the high fantasy part is Three Dark Crowns, which is a book I have been anticipating for half a year or something. I really think that the concept of this book is amazing. It's about 3 sisters. They are, I think, triplets, and one of them can become the queen. Only one of them, and they all have their special abilities, and they have to fight each other for the crown. The interesting thing about this book is actually that because they're 3 princesses, they're 3 covers of the exact same book, and it says, whose side are you on? Here you can see, and there are 3 crowns. There is a yellow one, a green one, and a red one. I chose the red one. I don't know if the red one is a good or a bad person. We'll see. The last 4 books are the books that I said I would not leave the bookstore without buying. The first one is The 1000th Floor by Katharine McGee. This book is set in New York, where we have this 1000th floor building, and basically I think most of New York lives there, and the richest people live on the highest floor and the poorest on the lowest floor. And we have 3 main protagonists, and they each live like, we have one, I don't know, first floor, like 10th floor, 150. I actually am making this up, but like they're the 3 scale, 3 different floors, and it's going to be something like Gossip Girl meets really high buildings. I actually don't know, but it sounds really amazing. Marissa Meyer, which is, I think, a companion novel to the Lunar Chronicle series. From what I know, this is kind of after the end of the series, after Winter. I just finished Winter yesterday. I'll be reviewing it very soon. So I can't decide which one of the last 2 books to show you first. So I'm just going to show you both of them at the same time so that I don't have a favorite one. These books are Frozen Tide and Empire of Storm. Frozen Tide is by Morgan Rhodes, and it's the 4th book in the Fallen Kingdom series. And Empire of Storms is by Sarah J Maas, and it's the 5th one in Throne of Glass. I knew that I was for sure going to buy an Empire of Storms, but this one, Frozen Tides, is not very popular in the UK, or at least I haven't been able to find it for the last 4 times I was there. So when I saw this book, I was sure I was going to buy it. These are all the 29 books that I have bought the last 3 months. The 2 that I'm most excited about are these 2, as I already mentioned. But as a whole, all of the books that I bought are really amazing, and I mean, I bought them for a reason, of course. So yeah, stay tuned and wait until I read all of them or review all of them, because it will take quite a while, but I'm sure I'm going to get there. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed buying all of these books and hopefully reading them really, really soon.